that we really didn't change much to the tentative budget that you were presented before. We did get $21,000 more, a little over that, in some Title II monies that we added in. So we did put those in. We did add the new kindergarten section, the salaries for the kindergarten teacher. We showed just a little deficit in the ed fund. We always do. And our budget, overall budget, is balanced and in black. And just thought I'd bring up right now too, might as well, I can bring it up in the meeting, that once again, we were on financial recognition and we received a letter, and I gave you another copy from the state applauding us for our efforts in these times, and we received the highest recognition financially. So we use our budget as a working document. We try to project any foreseen costs. Usually, well, we always stay well within it. So I think we've got a good budget to work with this year once again. But some things are kind of unknown, and we usually get some more grant monies throughout the year, and a lot of times Title I monies as well. And then we will amend.
We are scheduled to 5:15 for the budget hearing.
We said we take 10 to 15 minutes if there's questions, and then we go right into the meeting. But ordinarily we don't have a lot. We leave it laying here for 30 days, and if they want to come in, they could come in.
Well, since it does indicate that it's from 5 to 5:15, I think we should leave it open to them. If anyone else has any questions, let me know. Sure.
Very quiet. There are some rules here. Yeah, security. And Anna's here as well. She plugs all the figures in and knows all the state programs. They changed them on us a few years ago. Was it last year? Or a couple of years ago, all the numbers and ID numbers, and just trying to figure out where to put everything is the
our money.
Yeah, we had all that federal money before that we got, and we had to have separate accounting figures for everything. Of course, it was tracked separately, and all the jobs bill money, and that was quite a expense reports for all of that separately. Of course, with her doing the high school exam, 95, gets a little bit. Some days we go pot man. It's just kind of leave her alone.
And the payment schedule's been fairly true to what, I mean, before they'd be behind, but they're back up to.
Yeah,
They're pretty.
they started in with the state aid payments and
Okay.
we caught up a little bit on some special ed episodes from last year.
And we've received a lot of funding in regards to the cooperative.
The co-op.
Incentive money, I mean.
We received it one payment, that what we were due this year, yeah,
Okay.
for that, which was very good. I mean, we didn't know if that would actually show up. A lot of times things are vouchered, but they sit there for a long time, so. I'll give you a copy. I don't know if I mentioned, but you may have mentioned another article of financial recognition.
Okay, great.
We got that copy of the certificate in that letter. It's just,
Great.
it's nice to know. It makes you feel good when we came from where we came many years ago. Here, so maybe that end's partially closed. It's on, isn't it?
That's me, what's.
Do we have Maitland?
Part of it. Connie, I'm for the board too. I was in Northbrook Thursday evening for a business meeting. One of the things that was interesting is budgetary related, sort of not In Northbrook School District, they pay their students, which is a fairly affluent district, 75% of their funding is locally raised because their EAV is so high. They pay $700 a year to ride a bus. They pay $1,000 a year for the books in high school.
Students pay?
Students do. They pay for all uniforms, and they're not IHSA sanctioned sports like lacrosse and things like that. I forget what else it was. Oh, driver's ed. They pay for driver's ed.
And we also said that we can charge much more, and many school districts have gone to almost the student pays for the whole cost, because it's gotten so expensive.
I just couldn't believe they said
Yeah, all
$700
fees.
to ride the bus and extra books and stuff. So they buy it, they don't rent the books.
Wow. So many districts now, I think, like there's, all the different given laptops, and they pay certainly for the laptop, and then your graduate, they take it, but they don't have textbooks that way, they have them all on their laptop.
I thought that was pretty interesting
Mhm.
for the school district now. Absolutely.
Exactly, that they make the student, after they're paying that much in taxes, yeah, but, wow.
Maybe appreciate it.
Yeah.
2000.
We only have one tax abatement, that's NAL's the only one left. So we did a final deal.
Last year. And they've honored the terms of that.
Yes, they have. That'll kept their employees way above what was in projected. The red shirt? We've got several people that want to speak in all this business, so, Carol had asked about being put on the agenda before, and we kind of forgot about it till last minute. Alan Warren wants to be first. Not sure. We will let Warren be first. He has another meeting. And, yeah. It's a good. Yeah. Let's see. I did put some extra things on the table, and one was just a recommendation, and that was what she would, was the other one, oh, just one of the.
Where do you go?
Well, actually, he just didn't. So that would be kids are doing that. Oh, that's okay.
Your kids. And you included?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to close the budget hearing now. And now I'd like to open, call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of the parish in the school district number 95 Board of Education for Monday, September the 19th. Let the record show that all members are present. The voting sequence for this meeting is as follows: Hassler, Isaac, Tuttle, Arbuckle, Bailey, Furnish, and Davis. Audience to visitors, Mr. Spears.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, very much. I would like to share with you, I have some people here with me today. I've got Chris Clausen, Chris, and Miss Sanders and Jessica Blair, they're here. Last Friday, we celebrated Think College Day, okay? And we're going to be celebrating those days quite often. Now, the staff gets the Think College shirt that is the colors of the university and then the name of the university on the back. The reason that we're doing this is that we want to encourage our children to start thinking about college and what they're doing. This also ties in with our Paris Scholars Program, which basically is we're trying to increase the number of applicants. So if a student applies now, just applies, doesn't receive, just applies for it, he'll get a Think College shirt in red and white, okay? And so what happens after that, then we hope to have our entire student body covered with red and white along with the staff. You have on your, near your seat or something, a picture, a panoramic picture of what was taken the other day. Chris Clausen did that with her magic camera. I don't know how she does it, but she did that. But this is something that we're working on a daily basis. The kids are buying into it. It's really kind of neat. This is going to be a great picture for the Beacon News. And what it is the fact that we're encouraging our children to start now in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to start thinking about where you're going, what you're doing, and how you're going to get there, and the opportunities that are here in Paris, Illinois, in District 95 for scholarships to go to college. So, and these people are kind enough to take up the time to come in, and we've got all kinds of colors. We've got maroon, we've got red and white, we've got blue and white, we've got green and white, we've got all kinds of stuff. So,
Mine's is Lakeland College, but I forgot mine, so he gave me.
Oh, okay.
Well, she has
I
a
was
student.
screwed up.
So anyway, we just want to make the board aware of the fact that what we're doing to encourage kids to think about going to college, and it's never too late to start now. And we found that it is helping us to get focused on the academia that we're working and all the programs we have at the university.
Where'd you get the idea, Warren?
The idea from the shirts, from the staff, from the teachers.
Okay.
Well, the idea came from when we went to the Horizon Schools to Watch workshop last summer.
Oh, yeah, okay, the Think College,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
How soon did you get?
So, Mr.
Do you
Davis.
have Illinois State
I was
teachers?
gonna say-
Oh, yeah, we got Illinois State teachers. We picked
U
one.
of I,
U of
Houston.
I.
That's why we
That's what I
couldn't
wondered.
have, that's why some of us couldn't have red and white ISU shirts.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, and so we've got Millikan, ISU, Indiana State, Eastern, Eureka, Illinois,
Brown.
some places, this is just Missouri, some places have Missouri one, so we got them.
Harvard.
Huh?
Harvard.
He came to visit during our Wall of Fame.
Okay.
So, thank you very much, we
Thank you.
appreciate it, and we're going to continue to go after it as hard as we can.
Thank you for the teachers for coming, thank you.
It might also get your parents to be thinking about it, because it comes to students.
The next, I know Carol's got a quick presentation to make, and Amy, and you've got something too? Okay, and then Amy Henson's here, and I don't know if Amy, you want to say, I included in your packet some information from Amy looking at maybe some recycling that she had brought to our attention, and I did mention to her that we're going to meet with the administration with Sam and talk about if we want to do our own, or if we think this would be worthwhile financially for us. But Amy, if you want to say a few words, you're welcome. Were you sure? Pretty much your letter was pretty much explained what you thought we could do, and
Yeah. I just want to sit down and learn how it works.
okay. All right, well, like I said, we wouldn't act on anything either way. We want to just look at this and see if it would be something that, if we're gonna have our cooks collecting and all, it's a great idea. We don't know, we're just trying to get some data now on really how many cans we even have and how many a week and how long we want the cans to be there. Ingram's pick up our trash now daily. And so we're just kind of weighing all that out with what we think in the room we have, and if we want to haul cans ourselves, but it's a great idea just to, with everything and looking at the environment, so we're going to look into that a little more. Okay. And Melanie?
I just wanted to make you aware that Mayo is hosting the IESA Boys Regional Baseball Tournament. They hold that out at the baseball diamond, which I guess is also a softball diamond behind the Legion. This is the first time that I can remember, or maybe when I was early on teaching, we might have hosted it, but at least in my tenure as the principal, this is the first time we've hosted the baseball regional. There were two, we got a seed, so we got to buy the second seed, we got to buy the first round. They played 2 games out there Saturday, beautiful weather, and we were to play the championship game tonight. So now it's scheduled for 4:30 tomorrow night, weather permitting, and we play Danville Southview. So it's, hopefully we'll have weather like we had Saturday. It was a really nice day, but I wanted to make you aware of that. Brought 3 schools and us into town on Saturday. So just wanted to make you aware of it.
Thank you.
Carol, you're up.
Yes, I wanted to give the board just a brief presentation on the Common Core standards. You're going to be hearing quite a bit about that this year and a couple years to come. So this is just an introduction, an overview, so you have an idea of what we're talking about when we refer to the Common Core state standards. That's just the introductors. And this is a video that was put out by ICD that's very informative.
Should graduate from high school prepared to succeed in college and careers. State learning standards help guide classroom instruction for students throughout their academic life. And periodically, new education research and knowledge prompts the Illinois standards to be updated and improved. These standards provide a framework to drive instruction in schools throughout Illinois. But today's world and today's economy are more global and more competitive than ever before. So when it came time to update the state's learning standards this time, Illinois school leaders decided to join with other states to develop and establish what are called Common Core state standards. These standards will allow Illinois students to know how they measure up, not only against others in Illinois, but more importantly, in comparison to students in other states and even other countries.
It's important for states to set up expectations, and it's important for us to have standards and expectations that are world class.
Illinois Superintendent of Schools, Chris Cook.
Our students are being compared state to state, country to country, and we need to make sure that they're ready, those expectations are known, and that they are defined.
Illinois is one of 48 states that committed to developing and adopting new learning benchmarks called the Common Core State Standards. And now, the first Common Core State Standards have been established in English language arts and mathematics. They were developed by teachers, administrators, and other education experts. Illinois Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Susan Morrison.
When we started looking at the Illinois Learning Standards, we invited teachers who teach 3rd grade, 4th grade, middle school, high school, to sit down, the teachers who teach college classes, and talk about what they expect those kids to know and be able to do in college.
While the Common Core State Standards do establish new standards in English language arts and math, they didn't start from scratch. These standards build upon the standards already in place in Illinois.
Much of what teachers see in the new Common Core is very similar to what they've been teaching and what they've been used to for many years. This really is just taking it to that next level, being reflective on the standards, and making sure that we have defined for kids in school today what they really are going to need to know to be able to do to be successful in their world.
The Common Core State Standards set benchmarks for what students need to know and be able to do at every grade level. The learning measurements will start in elementary school and continually grow to standards that will have students prepared for college and careers when they graduate from high school. State and school officials are working to ensure the transition is seamless from grade level to grade level. For the Illinois education community, now comes an important point in transitioning to the new Common Core State Standards. Talking with teachers, administrators, and students to take questions and provide answers about the standards and the transition to implement them. Here are some important facts you should know. The new state standards establish what students should know and be able to do at every grade level, from kindergarten all the way through high school. There is a multi-year transition period before students are tested on the Common Core state standards, allowing teachers and
really giving you good instruction in the classroom. But as we look to our new learning standards, it's going to be really important that she looks at the new standards in math and in English, and she begins to look at what she teaches every day and see how they connect to the new standards, and just begin to learn about them.
How will this help me be ready for college or a job?
You'll be ready for a college and a job because we're making sure that your performance is comparable to everybody else, not just in Illinois, but across the country and even in the world. So the standards that we use are compared to other kids, your age, everywhere. And then we're sure that you're ready so that when you go into a job, you're not at a disadvantage. And they'll know you're coming and have the competencies you need to do the job.
When are you going to test me on the new lesson?
That's a great question. So you're in the 4th grade now. So by the time you're in the 7th grade, these new standards will be in place and you'll be tested on the state test. So it's 2014 and 15 when we'll have this in the state test. But in the meantime, we're going to help you teachers know how to use those standards, and you'll start doing some lessons in the interim so that you're ready by the time you come out of the state test.
How are you going to help our teacher learn about this information?
Well, we've already started, so we have your teachers already involved in looking at the standards and helping determine what they are. And we also have them looking at the current standards and the new standards. So teachers are already aware of this. We're going to give them the standards and make sure they all have them over the next 2 years. And then because other states are also using these, we're going to share materials state to state that teachers can use as they teach it.
For the next 2 years, we're going to have a lot of support out there to really help your teachers do their very best for you.
State education leaders recommend that teachers become familiar with the new state standards by reading them and discussing them with colleagues. Principals and district administrators can begin to plan for school improvement days and work with their staff to identify needs as they work towards implementing the new standards. The State Board of Education website, isbe.net, will continually provide more information on the standards, and in early 2011 will outline new professional development opportunities to help all teachers prepare.
And many teachers are looking at these standards and already saying, these make a lot more sense, they make teaching more manageable for us, they're measurable, I know what grade level to teach, so they're actually helpful for their instruction, and they can use them now, and it won't be a disconnect for the work that they're going to do.
The Common Core state standards are designed to improve learning in Illinois. The goal is fewer, clearer, and higher standards that are responsive to the needs of today's world. By building on effective instructional practices already in place, and by allowing years of lead time for transition, teachers, administrators, and students will enjoy the benefits of a new era marked by progress in Illinois schools.
And just briefly, just highlighting a few things that the video mentioned. The uniformity of the Common Core state standards is really going to be beneficial, especially to our area, because, we're so closely tied in with Terre Haute. Frequently, students move back and forth. Since 48 out of the 50 states have adopted the Common Core, that means students in Indiana will be receiving the same curriculum that students in Illinois receive. So therefore, we know when those students transfer what they've had. So there shouldn't be any gaps as far as the curriculum goes. They're much more focused than the 97 broad standards. And preparation, I thought that was interesting. Mayo brought up thinking college. Well, that was sort of the driving force behind the Common Core standards, was to better prepare our students for college and for careers. Just a little bit of the differences between the 97 versus the new Common Core state standards. Quality is emphasized, not quantity. The old standards, they said, were a mile wide and an inch deep. Well, now depth is emphasized and not so many standards. They're going to be much more rigorous. Higher order thinking is even going to be emphasized more. Very specific. So when teachers look at that, they say exactly what a student should know at the end of 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and so on. And emphasis on writing. Writing not only in the language arts area, they expect students to be able to write and explain how they perform math problems, how they interpret science text, and also how they could maybe compare and contrast social studies, different areas in history. So definitely an increase on writing. We're seeing how they're going to be assessed. Well, Illinois has joined, they call that PARC, which is the abbreviation for the Partnership for the Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. And you can see that's been adopted by 24 states are using this assessment. So about half of them are using it. Indiana, also a state that's using it. So again, that will be beneficial because we're having the same kind of assessment as our neighbor state. They will be computer-based assessments. One will be performance-based, and the other one will be the end-of-the-year assessment. And again, at this time, they say they will be online kind of performances that the students, will perform in a computer lab. Of course, that brings up many technical issues when we come to that stage as well. We've got a few years to get all that in place. And the timeline. Right now, we are just beginning the transition phase. Like the video said, teachers have received a copy. We're already starting to look at the gaps in our curriculum, what we are not covered in the Common Core that we need to begin to do. So we'll be doing that this year, next year as well. And then by 2013 or 14, we should be fully implemented on the Common Core, and then you can see the assessment is the following year. I'll have to say, we seem pretty fortunate though. Our curriculum is so closely aligned to the 97 standards that we will have to make changes and upgrade, but not nearly as many as a district that doesn't have their curriculum aligned to the state standards. So that's just a brief overview. Do you have any questions?
Carol, you mentioned that 48 states have adopted this. Is it theoretical that somebody moving in from, say, Indiana or Ohio, a fourth grader, are they on the same chronologic timeline? I mean, if they move in November, will he be at the same?
Not necessarily that, but we know that that fourth grader should have everything that our third, in the third grade year, they should have math.
At least they'll be closer than they were in the 96.
Yes, much closer than they were.
And actually, in the high school level, we've already started this too with the putting them to the Common Core standards.
Right.
Starting this fall. We were ahead of the curve on that. There's one other thing. Oh, and this ties in with the academies program that we're going to start at the high school too. So this all very well ties in together.
And we've known this was coming and been working towards it even before this year, but we knew Carol would be spending a good portion of her time working with the administration and the staff, and we have lead teachers in each building, and have gone to trainings on getting us even more prepared before full implementation of the state standards. So this will be
So we'll be sending teachers to professional development with regard to Common Core this year. So probably what I foresee happening, of course, is we need to rewrite our guides and maps that closely align to the Common Core standards. But
Carol, do you think the testing on this is going to essentially replace the No Child Left Behind testing, so to speak?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, 2004.
Right,
Yeah.
when it's fully implemented.
Right. And another thing on that, Illinois will probably be applying for a waiver on the ISAT testing this year. So what that means, according to someone I talked to there at the state board, if we would be granted that, they foresee happening that the 85%, which was what we needed this year to 85% of our students meeting and exceeding, that would freeze. Next year it would go up to 92.5%, but if we get the waiver, we could freeze it at 85. And then they're going to measure growth by the students. That's going to be a factor in it that hasn't been in the past. So I said, well, how are you going to measure growth? He said, well, they're going to look at the ISAT scores, like maybe from a fourth grader to a fifth grader, and see if they have improved or at least stayed the same, and give you a growth score.
For individual students,
Yes, that's
which is something we haven't.
yeah, I just found that out this week.
But because it is very hard to compare, and we've said that, we can compare to other districts and other areas, but it is hard to see the growth in a student when they've gone from, because we're testing, let's say, juniors, and next year's another set of juniors, and it's, so if we can go back and kind of track some of the individual growth, you could see differences, and
I would think the Common Core standards is gonna help the teacher a lot with the transients, that, I mean, it's constant going from county to county, let alone state to state, and with us being so close to the Indiana border, I think it's great.
And I like it because they're very specific to skills those students should master at each grade level, so the teachers will have a clear-cut list of skills their students need to have accomplished by the end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, ladies and visitors? I do have one thing that I would like to bring up. It appears there's some confusion in the community over the funding of the high school. There was an article in the Beacon after we had met with the architects, and a couple of amounts were listed for the cost of the high school and the state funding, and basically the math didn't work, so to speak. But I want to reassure the taxpayers that the most they're going to be responsible for is $6 million in District 95 and $6 million in Unit 4. That is the maximum we passed in the bonding, and that's the maximum they will pay. The other funding will come from the state of Illinois. If the theater is built from a trust, and then if there are any local donations, I guess.
here's where the dollars didn't really match. It was the trust, the dollars. There would be an additional money from the state if the trust is approved in this, and then there would be over $3 million in the trust. So when you added all those figures together, if you had that other $3 million, you'd come up with the 40. If we don't get the theater, which is through a trust, another source of money, then we would be back to having a cafetorium and the building that we projected initially. So, yeah, the math will add up. The taxpayers are only responsible for the $6 million, and we will get from the state our 65% of whatever with the theater added in through the trust and some additional money from the state, or without the theater, which we're hoping will see the theater for the whole community. So.
And although I think we've said it over and over, again, I want to reassure the taxpayers, we will not sell the bonds until we receive the state money.
Exactly.
Okay? All right. Consent agenda. In your booklet, you have a list of bills and the treasury report. Are there any questions this evening? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes. Secretary's report? Okay. Superintendent's agenda?
Okay, well, the first item on the agenda is the budget. It's time to approve the budget. It has lain for 30 days. And I went over basically during the budget hearing the only changes that were made to the budget as it was presented last month. We did receive $21,408 additional Title II grant money. We did add the additional kindergarten teacher into the budget that was I'm going to ask you to approve tonight, so that is also in these figures. So at this time, I would ask that the Board of Education approve the budget for the 2011-12 school year.
So. Second.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey? Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is tax abatement. We received the enclosed information from our county clerk as to the tax abatement for NAL. And as you will note, this is their final year. And they've kept their employee numbers up to the required number for this abatement. So I would ask at this time the board approve the tax abatement for North American Lighting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey? Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Each year, we are required to send applications for recognition of schools into the state board. You have those applications for recognition for the Creative Center, Memorial, Carolyn Wentz, Mayo, and the Paris Cooperative High School. Basically, they say that our support staff and support personnel all meet the state requirements of taking a state test or meeting the 60 college hours, and that we're in compliance in other ways with the state requirements. So once the board has approved those, we go online and then we submit those to the state each year. So at this time, I would ask that the board approve the application for recognition of schools for the 2011-12 school year.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
We have 3 facility requests, and if you don't mind, I'll read them all and we'll take one vote unless you would like me to break them out for some reason. First one is for the Paris Junior League, and once again, the Junior League, Toby Wilson, who is in charge, has requested that he be able to use the gymnasiums at the schools for their practices and their games. They do have a certificate of insurance from Diamond Brothers, and I think they are scheduled to the season to begin the 22nd of October and run through March. The next request was from Citizens Bank. Jody Sperry has requested once again to use the Mayo Gymnasium for the Halloween contest. It will be held Monday, October 31st from 3:30 to 5:30. And Bessie Rigdon's asked to use Memorial for her brownie troop on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of each month. She has discussed this with Mr. Whitaker, and he sent in a recommendation to approve that request. So at this time, I would ask the board approve the facility requests for Paris Junior League, Citizens Bank, and the Girl Scout Brownie Troop for Memorial School.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac? Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
And there are no fees attached to any of those. Next, we have several resignations, and I will present all of those to the board as well. The first resignation was from our elementary librarian. We received a resignation letter from Renee Miller. She's been serving as a librarian between Memorial and Wynn schools for several years. They are relocating, and that's why she requested to resign from her position. The next was for Mayo speech coach. Marion Mattingly submitted a resignation for that position from Mayo School. And next was Mayo track coach. Mr. Sparrow received a request from Corey Bremner to resign her position as girls track coach at Mayo Middle School. And the last was from Toby Sanders, is asking to resign her position as the Mayo drama sponsor effective immediately. I would ask that the board approve all of the above mentioned resignations.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay. Next, we have a retirement request. We received a retirement request from Jane Sollers. She teaches computer at Mayo Middle School. Jane's asking the board to approve her retirement to be effective at the end of this school year, correct, Melanie? The 11-12 school year. She's also requesting the incentive as listed in the contract with the association and the Board of Education. This time I've asked the board to approve the retirement request and the incentive for Jane Sollers.
So. Second.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
And we have several employments this evening. The first one I will read separately. That is for the additional kindergarten position that we have added at Memorial School due to enrollment. I also will be bringing to the board more than likely a request for an additional 4th grade section in the near future. Numbers, and we can get to that later, have gone up since the beginning of school. We've had several move-ins, so we're looking and analyzing what to do there. We've increased the number by 1 section this year already because we had lower class sizes in 5th grade and the 3rd grade, but they're still getting it 26 per class, and so we're analyzing that. But this employment request is for the kindergarten section at Memorial School. You have a recommendation from Mr. Whitaker to employ Taylor Wilson to fill the additional section that was created for the kindergarten at Memorial. She has been substituting in that new classroom, and we have transitioned students into this section, and I believe the teachers feel it's working out. Well, Jerry isn't here this evening, but working out very well. I've kept in touch with them and have met with the team of teachers. At this time, I would ask the board to approve the employment of Taylor Wilson for the kindergarten position at Memorial Elementary School.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Hassler?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Arbuckle?
Yes.
Bailey? Cornish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, and the rest of the positions are not teaching positions, but they are grant paid positions. Most of them to fill our Title I reading positions. We're adding 3 per building for those positions, and with our grant has been approved. We have asked that they hold bachelor's degree. Many of them hold teaching degrees, but that's not necessarily a prerequisite, but they would have a bachelor's degree. We also, as you know, have a prevention initiative grant that was approved. Had a model parental training before that, but we did write and submit a grant for parents, risk parents, and we'll have 2 positions for that. One we've made a transfer for, and we're really happy about that. We'll be able to help around 40 families with young children. The reading, we've already had some people starting and doing some in-service and working with learning the programs and the testing programs and criteria for our Ames web testing and all for our readings. So they're ready and up and running to go with this program. If we didn't know if the grant was going to be approved very first of the year, we would have already had that in place. Right now, the recommendations that you see before you would be, I'll begin with Mayo School. I'd recommend the employment of Colby Julian and Susanna Brower to fill 2 of those positions. Mrs. Ogle still has one other employment, which will come at the October meeting for that. At Wentz School, the employment of Robbie Albert, Natalie Hernandez, and Brittany Myerscough. At Memorial, the recommendation of Ashley Golinas, and there's only one there because there was a transfer of Jennifer Hennis from our Creative Center, as well as Kathy Reed is already in that program. So, and I might go ahead and I'm going to make the next 2 with them if you're not opposed to that. Due to the fact that we transferred 2 aides out of the Creative Center, Mary Frizz is being transferred and recommended for the library position that was left vacant. She did apply for that. We posted for all of these, I want you to know. And we have 2 openings in the Creative Center for aides. So we've also got a recommendation to employ Amanda Bell and Haley Sanders to serve as our early childhood classroom aides. And these individuals are all qualified and meet all of the state criteria. You want me to go on to Mike Morris? You want me to wait? It's all employments, but these are basically for our title programs and our grant programs, so I think I'll keep his separate if that's okay. At this time, then, I would recommend that the board approve the employment of the Colby Julian, Susanna Brower, Robbie Albert, Natalie Hernandez, Brittany Myerscough, Ashley Golinas, and Amanda Bell and Haley Sanders.
So,
Mm-hmm.
just to clarify, this, if I'm not mistaken, back in August when we got the letter from the APT, this was one of their concerns. Was
The
this,
kindergarten?
Yeah, well, the kindergarten and
Our
the
reading
grant aids.
positions, yes.
And we
it
couldn't do
was.
anything about because we had
No,
no
it
funding.
had nothing to do with cutting funding. It had
Understand,
nothing
but I want to
do-
make that clear that these 2
Exactly.
things are specifically addressed with this action.
Exactly. Yeah, those things are both addressed. The kindergarten numbers we were continuing to monitor, and when the numbers got to a certain level, then we discussed it and I talked with the board about adding. But the reading positions were simply a matter of the time of the grant. We went from targeted school assistance to school-wide, And when we did that, we rewrote our grant, and we definitely wanted it to come back to us and be approved in the way it was written, requiring bachelor's degrees, but they aren't really necessarily teaching degrees to fill those positions, and we were able to then employ 9 people versus maybe 3 or 4. So, yeah, I was very happy that we got our grant back, and I think we're gonna see a lot of additional services in the building. I know we are.
Any other discussions? If not, Heslin?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Hardball?
Yes.
Bailey? Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, next we have one student aid position for employment this evening. We have a student in one of the special needs programs at Wentz Elementary School in need of a one-on-one aid. You have a recommendation from Mrs. Perry to employ Mike Morris to serve as a one-on-one aid for this student. Mike has been studying in that program with the student, and I ran into him the other day, and it's working out very well. Mrs. Perry told me it was.
He's gotten along very well. The student has responded very positively to Mr. Morris, and we're already seeing a lot of
Progress.
yeah.
So I recommend the employment of Mike Morris for that position.
Any discussion? If not, Heslin?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Hardball?
Yes.
Bailey? Furnish?
Abstain.
Davis is yes.
Okay, the next 2 I will put together. They're both coaching at Mayo School. One is a paid position, the other is a volunteer. The first recommendation from Mr. Sperry is to employ Dolan Whitaker to serve as the 8th grade girls basketball coach at Mayo Middle School. And the second recommendation from Mr. Sperry is for Brian Gates to serve as volunteer girls assistant basketball coach. I'd ask the board to approve those requirements.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Sorry, is Brian the volunteer, the fire chief?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
Heslin?
yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Hardball?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, the next is a transition agreement that we approve each year between Child and Family Connections, number 19, and the district. This is for families with young children, and most of them have some type of other need, and when they turn 3, then we share information and we ensure that that child is placed into a District 95 program if they meet the criteria. This is one thing they really liked about our grant that we just received for the early childhood and other parental at-risk was that we have so many, and we've asked how many agreements that the district currently has, like with our Head Start and Family Connections. And I was really happy to be able to put on many such transitional agreements, making sure our families receive all the services that they need and the children are ready for school. So at this time, I would ask the board to approve the transition agreement with Child and Family Connections number 19 and District 95.
Any discussion? If not, Heslin?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Hardball?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, the next is just an update of our risk management plan. Our risk management plan is putting in from our tort liability on our levy for our tort, just certain individuals, just portions of what is paid through for safety in our buildings to protect us from potential loss. And you have a copy of the risk management plan and a resolution closed to update that plan. It basically is custodians and maintenance. It's just portions of salaries, and then nurses because they look after more of the risk factors in our building. And then, of course, our tort liability insurance. At this time, I'd ask the board approve the resolution for the risk management plan for the 2011-12 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Heslin?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Hardball?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Furnish?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, under informational, I do want to mention that we do have a student here, and Mr. Gates, our WAN, is going to start recording, and I was going to offer to you as well, and welcome to record, but we will put that on our website. If you'd like a link off of our site, to link us onto a site, We'll have all of our meetings recorded. I think you were a student last year, weren't you, at the high school this year? Okay, but we are gonna be using some WAN students, and Dan sent this gentleman, what's your name?
Aaron Gates.
Aaron Gates was here tonight, and he's helping us record, so I wanted to point that out. We discussed a little bit the fourth grade enrollments, and we're continuing to monitor those. Of course, our next meeting is the first Monday in October, so prior to that time, I'll have some more information to the board. And if we're making a recommendation, I'll have that to you as well. We talked a little bit about, we met with the architects, and we had the public meeting with both boards, and if any board member wants to talk about that, when we go back to reported committees or anything, that would be fine. I think it was pretty much just an update and to let us know that, construction costs could go up if we wait, but then again, there's no guarantee of that either, but if we don't have the money, we're waiting on that. So they just gave us an update and looked a little bit more at the theater option into the project. The consolidation, there's been questions on that. Lorraine and I have already begun working on that. There was some discussion of the timeline is going to be very, very crunched. It's a March election. And when Lorraine had received information from Bobby Mattingly at the regional office on the timeline, there were many things that we were thinking, had we known the timeline was so crunched, we would have probably already had determined. That being said, we are on the track for the March ballot. We're going to work our hardest to reach that. We're pulling in figures and numbers. We want accurate data. We want accurate salary information. Our teachers are going to want accurate information so that any time, and we have public meetings that we feel we don't have something back from the state, we don't have figures or projections for state aid, we will discuss it at that time if you need to go to the November ballot. That would be the only reason, though, that we would do that. Bobby Mattingly has informed us she'll help us in any way she can. In meeting those deadlines, there's petitions to file, there's public hearings to be held, and those types of things. We want this, I think both boards are desirous to put this question on the ballot and let the voters decide, and I think that's just a logical next step, and I'm speaking for the board, but if anybody else has anything to add there.
I would just add a couple of things. First of all, I'm totally in favor of the March ballot. A couple of things that concern me, though. Number one, I know the question we will get from the voters is, will our taxes go up? So we have to make sure that we have complete and accurate information to give them.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to tell them it's not going to go up,
Right.
and they go up.
Right, and that will have to be on the ballot in the question. So we will have gathered, and like I said, the biggest issue will be salary. We're a very labor-intensive business, so it's mostly salaries and benefits. So we want that accurate information. We'll be looking at class size, we'll be looking at, do we need any reductions in classes? So we will have a really good feel for that and have a projected budget of what we would look like combined, and we're going to have to look at transportation costs naturally, and what would that do, contract, or what are we proposing. So I mean, there's a lot to look at, but we're working on it, and we're going to work our hardest, and we'll have public meetings, and we'll get public input, and we'll know soon about how quickly we can get there.
The second thing is we need to get the word out, people who are interested in running for this new consolidated board.
Yes, if we go to the March ballot, and I'm saying that we're projecting that we will go to the March ballot, you will be putting two questions on the ballot. You will put a question as to the consolidation. Do you want District 95 to consolidate with Crestwood Unit 4? Then we will also have to run a Board of Education for the consolidated district. Now, if the answer to our consolidation question is no in either district, then it's a moot point about the board. There will be no consolidated board. If it's yes, then those people would become the new board and the following school year. So the only difference would be if we go to a November ballot, you will ask the question in November, you want the consolidation, do you, or whatever. You would know going into the April ballot then if you were running two boards or one board, that would be your basic difference. announcements. But we want to get to the March because we think it's important to get there as quickly as possible, and but we do want accurate, solid information for the taxpayers, because they're gonna wanna know and they're gonna ask.
Well, the other thing, I mean, we've been 50 years getting to this point.
Yes,
So 6 months to make
Right.
sure it's right
if we have.
isn't a big deal.
And Bobby says she thinks she can help us and we'll be okay, so
Right.
that made me feel
And
better, and
maybe-
Lorraine feel better, and,
We may be knee-deep in a new building project at the same
well,
time.
and we probably will. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that we get some state dollars, and we're in the middle of building a new high school in the midst of all this, which could, it's gonna take a lot of meetings as well, and architects and planning, and it'll take them a good while to do the design. But they're exciting changes. It's
all
good to have this as a problem. If
Absolutely.
this is an issue, and if we're building a building and looking at consolidation in Paris, I think those are all good problems to have. So that's the end of the superintendent's agenda.
Okay. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Public hearings and petitions, unfinished business, matters for follow-up, new business, right to revert to priority of business. And there's no executive session this evening. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I would make that
Haslett,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Tuttle,
Yes.
Arbuckle,
Yes.
Bailey, Furnish, Davis is yes, meeting's adjourned.